That's an old electrical panel, right? The city comes in and do the inspection. They don't want us to change this out. So that's a cost that you have to put in now. If not, you don't thought you brought a deal and you really just signed up to spend a whole lot of extra money you didn't really plan for. All right. On this episode of Mama, There Goes That Man, we are here walking the property. I'm actually going to take pictures of it. Soon you might see the buyer come in. We're in Decatur. It's a very popular area here in Atlanta. There's actually another buyer here coming to take a look at the property at the same time. And I'm going to show you exactly how to make a good relationship with other cash buyers. Remember, there is no such thing as competition, only collaboration. Stay charged up. Oh, also today is Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. Say what's up, baby. So she was here. She was like, "What we doing here?" I said, "We're buying a house." She said, "Another one?" Of course. First thing first is when we taking pictures, you want to make sure you have enough lighting. So the windows are blocked here. And so what we're doing is we're opening the door so we can get some in. You want to take your phone, take your camera out. You want to be able to extend it all the way out. And you want to hit it sideways like that. And the reason why I want to do it like that, that's 0.5x. Is because when I stand on one corner of the room, I get the full span. In this shot alone, I get to get the roof, the ceiling, and the floor, and the rooms adjacent to it. And you want to take 3 pictures from each corner. You don't need 4, just 3. So, for example, the first one. Also, you don't want people in your videos. So, in your pictures or your videos. So, typically, if the buyer is in the way, I say, hey, you don't have to move. If you want to stay in the picture, that's okay. I can make you really famous. 9 times out of 10, they scurry on out the way. So it's a good way to get them to move without being like rude, right? So here's the next one. Now I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna take this angle, make sure my little helper's out the way. And boom. So now I got 3 viewpoints of one room, which now essentially if my buyer or someone else is looking at it, they can get a full view, especially if it's my contractor that's looking at it, they can get a full view of the property without having to be here. Now, I would also make sure if there's any marks on the ceilings or anything on the floor, and it really stands out foundational issues. So, for example, feels like the cracks that was a little bit deeper than that. I'll probably take a look at that. If you're unsure, click it. Right? You can't go wrong from taking a picture of it. Something that you feel you're unsure. So over here, we see the rays right there. We just want to take pictures of it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other room. And this is gonna be quick and easy. Things like this. Picture there.
Hi, Corey. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So it's living room, dining room. These old homes are pretty similar, I think.
So good, same thing. Make sure your helper's not in the way.
People update it, they make it a little nicer, obviously.
Right.
Refinish the hardwood floors.
Now, in my shop, because I'm doing a wide, they're in the picture. They feel they're leaving. If they wasn't, I would just curve the camera a little bit so that they wouldn't be in my shot. Now, typically when you take these type of shots, the angle shots like this, it's in real good benefit because you can get the floor. The floor is in pretty decent shape. What I would do too is just take a quick snip of the floor so I can actually showcase it. Again, it feels like major places, like stains on the floor. I would always look up to make sure it's not coming from something from the roof. Like for example, see that up there? When it comes to the floor, is you want to look for warpness. This is kind of raised right here. And if you don't take proper measurement in your numbers beforehand, you'll be able to buy this property and realize that a lot of money that you're spending that you didn't put in the budget because you didn't think this was a big deal. Kitchen is fairly simple, hasn't really been updated since like the 1950s, 60s, 70s. It's not what a new homeowner would want. Property was being used as a rental for like the last 7 years by one tenant. So typically what happens when you have one tenant, they do good, they're not causing any trouble, but when there's things that happen in the house, like this for example, when you have something like this, we have wood rotting that took place because believe it or not, this is where they put the refrigerator. I don't know if I would have chose to put it here, but then again, you have a small kitchen, you have no choice. So this is called wood rotting. They took the fridge out, but he never told the owner that this was actually happening. So when you have these landlords that keep the same tenant in place, that's something you have to look out for. You don't get a chance to come in. You're saving on cost because you don't have to come in and repair things because they're not making a big stink of it. But trust and believe something is going wrong or something needs to be updated. So if you save on costs on the front end, you're paying on costs on the back end. If you didn't have to spend money doing all these updates in the between time, when you do come to sell the house, we taxing you for that because we're not about. It's not going to pass on to us. It's going to have to get out something. All right. So also another thing is when it comes time to take a picture of the boiler, you always want to get it back in regular scope. Take a picture of it. Try to see if you can get like a date on there. If it doesn't look new, so you can make sure you can see exactly how old it is. This is what would be considered where the laundry room was at. You see the cement here, wood here. Again, as a rental, maybe you can get away with it, but for trying to renovate the property to sell this, you're gonna have to put some money in this as well. And I always take a picture of the connections. Because you see here, let me try to see if I can shine some light on that. That's water that made that mark. Again, I would come in and replace this. Looks like there's some mold or whatever. Here's outside. Pretty decent backyard. This is really, really cool. When you look at this backyard, you can only imagine what you can do to it if you set it up correctly. You got a little step up over there so you can have tables and chairs set up. And all back here, you can make this like the great entertainment house. The only thing that kind of sucks with this house is on the main road, so you don't have a lot of parking right here, but it's the corner house, so this whole side right here is available parking for any guest, family, and people you want to come to get down. So electrical panel is something that you definitely want to get some insight on. Now, between you and me, it's rare to find an electrical panel in the garage, unless the garage is actually connected to the house. And in this case, maybe they made it that way. So let's see. B, you can stay right here, okay? Now here's a really good rule of thumb. Sometimes when we go take a look at the houses, we look at vacant homes. Now this is technically considered a vacant home, but I'm talking about homes that haven't been inhabited by anyone. Maybe there was some homeless people that were into the house. A lot of times they like to protect themselves when they're in the house. So whenever you're walking through a doorway, make sure you look up before you walk through that doorway and check, because there's sometimes booby traps. Like for example, a friend of mine walked the house and he got saved by someone else who was walking the house. He was walking with no problem. The guy pulls him back, and right above was a booby trap where if he would have walked, the knife would have swung down, stabbed him right in the head. So it's real out here in these streets. Make sure you protect yourself and be smart. So what I'm doing here is I'm come in and I'm taking a picture of the electrical panel. Now, why is this important? I'll show you in 2 seconds. But if you can see on my phone, that's an old electrical panel, right? 9 times out of 10, when the city comes in and do the inspection, they don't want us to change this out. So that's a cost that you have to put in now. If not, you don't thought you brought a deal and you really just signed up to spend a whole lot of extra money you didn't really plan for. So let's take a look at the rest of the house. We're gonna take a look at the bathroom, which is important. Kitchen, we already got knocked down. We got the water system. We got the, we gotta take a look to see if there's HVAC set up. But we got the electrical panel. Take a look at the room. But you wanna look at the major things. So when we go outside to the front, I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. But electrical panel, HVAC, plumbing, have those things been updated? What do they currently look like? You want to take a look at the kitchen. You want to take a look at the bathroom. Why? Those are the money makers. That's where the wife want to see how good this thing looks. If not, house is not getting sold. All right. This is the other side to the backyard we're talking about. But let's go check out inside. Let's do it. First bedroom that you got to stand. I think this is probably one of the biggest square foot ones from what Bob had told us. Decent shape. Again, the form here is, you really can't ask for that. You do see some marks, but again, it's not coming from the ceiling or anything. So maybe they put something down, and that's what caused the wetness and the marks on the floor. Because the roof, the ceiling doesn't have anything. So that's a really good thing. This is clean, but this looks like something was there. and you don't have a roofing problem or a ceiling problem, which is a good sign. Now, this is the opposite of that story. Sure.
Question.
That is a classic job. Correct.
It's totally renovated. And she said, so something like this, which you have to start. That's what it is. But everything's negotiable.
So here's the trick. Let me show you guys really quick. When you're taking a picture of, let's say, the bathroom, typically there's mirrors involved, you don't want to be in the picture. It's just not considered professional. So you want to hit your angles, like Drake said. So you want to come in here, take the picture on the angles. That way, I'm not in front of the mirror while I'm taking the picture.
We look at your foot too.
In the bathroom, same thing. Hit your angles so that you can be able to see things. I'm going to take a look at everything that I'm going to... It's my reflection. Everything I'm going to end up spending money on is what I'm going to take pictures of, so that when I'm discussing this with my contractor and he's looking at the pictures, he doesn't have to be here for him to be able to see the work that we're going to do. So let's take a look at the room upstairs. One of the other things you want to look out for too is the steps. When you walk in the steps, make sure that every step feels solid. Over years, sometimes steps warp or the wood will bang. Now this is the third bedroom. We saw two that was downstairs. And here, same thing. I'm gonna come in the opposite corner. This is why you bring your kids to work. So now you can sit in the houses and do take pictures for you. Now, when you're on the top floor, you want to make sure that you really are paying attention, because this is direct access to the roof. So I want to be able to get some understanding on what that is. It's not in bad shape. I mean, literally, I've seen houses where you can look at the sky from inside the house. It's just things you want to take into consideration. But here's the attic. I was talking to the owner, Bob. He was suggesting that what you can do is turn this into a room. Now, in some of the older homes, they are doing stuff just like this, where it would turn this into the room. Personally, I don't know for sure if that's what I would do here. It's not a lot of space. Maybe you can turn it into a movie room or something like that. That would be kind of cool. But you also got to pay attention to exactly what the city would allow you to do. Some of these older homes, the city's going to have you to push this roof up and have all these new safety requirements because you're turning this into a room where a lot of people would be on. And sometimes it's not, the lemon isn't worth the squeeze, right? It's not worth the extra money, which you could sell it for based off of the amount of work, money you're going to put into it. Take pictures. When I'm upstairs and anytime in the attic, I'm going to take a look at the ductwork. I want to take a look at the HVAC system. And the things that I'm looking for is, are there any holes? Are there any situations where I can kind of see that there's animals living in here, chewing through things? I also want to pay attention to the insulation. If I plan on keeping this property as a rental, especially, I got to make sure it's properly insulated. This was done when the house was first built. We got a problem, right? It's been a couple of decades. We need to be able to replace this stuff. And again, all adds up to cost. So we'll go downstairs, take a look at that last room, and then we're good to go. So this is the third and final bedroom that we have here. Comes right off of the kitchen, as we already saw, and then you have the water heater and everything here. So it's the same thing. Take pictures. I like leaving doors open when I take pictures, and I like the angle that I'm taking the picture to make sure I'm including other rooms, because then I don't have to label my picture like, oh, which room was closer to the kitchen. You can see it, right? I got the floor in the shot. I also have this room in the shot, so I know this is the room in between both, and I don't have an issue figuring things out like that. That's how you want to be able to take pictures. After I take the pictures, typically what I do, I will go through, turn on my video camera, and I just do a walkthrough. Same thing. Turn on the camera, put it on 0.5, so it's wide, and then I hit record. and I'm walking through it, I want to walk it just like this, so that I'm able to allow my contractor to come and take a look at the video and not have to bother the seller again by, hey, you need to come back out because my contractor needs to see it. We like moving with speed. We have capital. We want to buy properties quickly and get the job done and have our contractor start working immediately. So you want to do this so you can limit the amount of time it takes to do things. You don't want to have the camera up here. You want it down here. You want it basically at eye level so that they're looking at it through your eyes and just a simple walkthrough. I'm going to catch all the things that you possibly didn't catch. When you go into the room, it's very simple. When you walk in, you just do a sweep like that. And that's it. You don't need to scan. You're not scanning, right? You're simply just going through, watching it, right? So that's pretty much it. I'll show you guys how we do this when we are outside and let's look at on the outside of the property. But for now, I'm going to talk to Bob. He looks like he's gonna make me a hard bargain, so I got my money cut out for me. But we'll see what we can do, see if we can help him in this situation and make something happen for us as well. So I'll see you guys outside. So what we might have to do is just do a voiceover because cars are going back and forth. But when you're on the outside of the house, you want to take the same exact pictures, right? So basically what I do is go into the big mode, hit corners like that, hit corners like that. I'll take a picture of the front door just like this. You see any foundational issues, you want to take pictures of it. Any cracks on the walls or the cement in the driveway, you want to take that picture. But you also need a picture of the full view, right? Take a picture just like this. So that way, my buyer or my partner can take a look and see the whole entire house. Take a picture of the mailbox. Not just the mailbox. You want to take a picture of the mailbox and the house. Why is that important? Well, sometimes you have similar mailboxes, similar things like that, but you won't have this mailbox with that exact side of the house. Typically, you want to get the mailbox with the numbers showing so that you can be able to find it. Now, normally what I would do is run across the street, take a picture from across the street, and I'll add that. When I'm in a house, especially a size like this, I'm walking away with at least 70 pictures and 1 to 2 videos to make sure I have enough so that when I go back, I can make the offer without having to come back to the house until it's time for my due diligence period. All right? So with that being said, this is how you properly walk a property, have a conversation with the seller. This business is not just over the keyboard. You got to get face to face, meet the people. That's how you stay charged up.